Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast of the California MBA featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and I'm very happy you could join us today. Before I welcome today's guest, I'd like to thank our 2025 President's Council sponsors. And these are companies that provide a tremendous amount of financial support to the California MBA, in large part so that we can continue to be that strong voice before the California State Legislature and our regulators to represent the real estate finance industry. So please join me in thanking this year's President's Council sponsors, and those companies are AmeriHome, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, Guild Mortgage, Rocket Mortgage, Wiener Brodsky Kiter, and Western Alliance Bank. Thank you all so much for your support this year. We really appreciate it. And that brings me to today's guest. I'm very happy to welcome Praveen Chandramohan, who is SVP of Origination Growth Solutions at Cotality. Praveen, welcome.
Hey, Susan. Great to be here. Look forward to this discussion.
Yeah, thank you for making the time. I always like to start out with finding out how people, their journey in coming to the mortgage industry. So why don't you share with us how you got into the mortgage business?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I wasn't in the mortgage industry. I started my career doing research in the space of bioinformatics, which has got nothing to do with mortgage. And I got to a point in my career where I had to make a choice. The only way to grow would have been to do a PhD and go down the research line. And the thought of, you know, doing doing one thing for the rest of my life and being in one sort of industry uh, scared me at that point. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna not do this. And got an opportunity with Fannie Mae, and I joined Fannie Mae in 2005. Little did I know, 20 years later, I'm still in the same mortgage industry. And so the whole point of staying in one industry really didn't go well, but I love what I'm doing, wouldn't do anything else.
It's a great industry, right? And it's like I hear that from so many people. It's like once you get in, it's
Once you're
like
in, you're in.
there's just so much to do. There's so many different things, and it's always changing.
Yes.
Speaking of always changing, big changes recently with your company, moving from CoreLogic, very well name recognition in the mortgage industry, to Cotality. So congratulations on the rebrand. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about what inspired that change?
Yeah, no, glad you asked that. We recognize CoreLogic was a big brand name in this industry, not just the mortgage industry, but the entire property ecosystem. But we also recognized it's time to put a different brand out there, partly because 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, we accelerated a lot of the transformation that we've been going both internally and externally. We were a publicly traded company, went private, and part of the transformation was to reorient ourselves. We've been focused heavily on data, technology, automation, launching new products, launching new platforms, and all of that required time and effort to get to where we are today. And we thought this was a good point in time to recognize that we're a significantly different company than we were 4 or 5 years ago, and how else to reflect that with a new brand name. And the name itself was very thoughtful. The co in the Cotality is a little bit of a nod to our legacy name CoreLogic, but it's also reflective of the way we approach the business. We realize that the entire property business is a people-centric business, and if you're a people-centric business, collaboration is a key part of it. So co also signifies collaboration. And the totality aspect of knowing everything about property, both at the macro level, at the micro level, together just fit together. And that's how Cotality was born. And so we're excited about the name. You can see it in my background. It's got bold new colors from a brand recognition perspective. Our marketing team and the entire team involved did a fantastic job in doing that.
Excellent. Well, and it seemed to roll from an outsider's perspective, I will tell you, it seemed to roll out very seamlessly. So the launch and everything just seemed, very well thought out. So congratulations on that. And
Thank
good
you.
to have new energy, new energy around a solid company. So looking forward to seeing what's in store for Cotality this year. I know Cotality has always had a focus on creating opportunities for customer retention for lenders. Can you share with us what the focus is in that respect for 2025?
Yeah, so when I talked about rolling out new products, rolling out new platforms, one of the big ones that we've invested in is the launch of Araya. And the way to think about Araya is to surface up everything that we know about the property in a solution that makes sense. So one of the problem statements that we wanted to address with Araya is customer retention. And we've been talking to clients across the board, all the way from individual loan officers, mortgage brokers, to credit unions, to IMBs, to the large banks. And everybody is trying to solve this aspect of customer retention because we're transitioning from a transactional world to a relationship-based lending world. Everyone realizes that it is going to be a purchase market for the foreseeable future. So there's not a quick in, quick out type transaction. So you have to build that relationship. And that's where Araya comes in. Araya surfaces up everything about the property and the household to a customer to an extent where they can take actions on it. And we're launching several new capabilities. Something that's coming up very, very soon is this aspect of engaging a homeowner. Today's homeowner are tomorrow's home shoppers, and we're excited about the launch of One Homeowner. More to come in maybe a couple of months. We'll make a big splash in the market, but we may also do a small preview at the MIC conference.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we're looking forward to that. I remember hearing you talk about, how your company was supporting customer retention at our Mortgage Innovators Conference last year, and I found it fascinating. How do you see business intelligence and analytics evolving in the mortgage industry in the next few years?
I think thinking about the next few years, it would be a shame if I don't bring in AI into the conversation. I do believe AI and the evolution of AI into Gen AI, agentic AI, all of that is here to stay. But I think what will end up happening is you'll start to hit um, some limits in terms of how far AI can take you. So the way it's going today, you have a lot of assistants that are starting to form. You'll have a loan officer assistant, you'll have an underwriter assistant, which will help you, which won't help you with decisioning, but will help you with framing the right questions so you can spend less time thinking about how you gather and decide, and more time just making the decision. You will start to see a heavy focus in customer service. So in terms of voice AI starting to take off, there's going to be a great focus on how do you make that customer experience stellar and 5-star. You're also going to see agentic AI take over a lot of the human tasks that are today performed, as workflows, one after the other. But I think where the roadblock would come in is when it comes to decisioning. Decisioning
Mhm.
requires system of record, and oftentimes most of these AI solutions are built on generally publicly available information. And so where Cotality is really focused on is how do you how do you now bring the power of all of these AI and predictive models but apply it using some of the proprietary data sets that we have. And now you start to crack the code on decisioning. So that's sort of where we think we can play a significant part in the journey that the entire industry is taking from a AI perspective. But I do think all of that automation and capabilities are here to stay. The way a mortgage is going to be originated is going to look fundamentally different 5 years from now.
Wow, that is very exciting to think about, right? So much change in when you say, started at Fannie Mae in 2005. I mean, so much change has happened in those 20 years, right?
Absolutely.
Praveen, Cotality, formerly CoreLogic, has been a member of the California MBA. Of course, Cotality is a premier sponsor at our big Mortgage Innovators Conference that's coming up May 7th and 8th in Huntington, free for lenders. Can you share with our organization why you choose to support the California MBA?
Well, for starters, we're headquartered in Irvine, California. So it would be a shame if we didn't play a big part in the California MBA chapter. But more importantly, a couple of things. So one is CMBA focuses on the state of California. California is one of the largest states when it comes to mortgage lending. So if you can start to be close to the issues that lenders doing business here are facing, and if you start to solve those, then you're pretty much solving things at a national scale. This, what I also like about this conference is the focus on innovation as opposed to just another conference where you're coming and showcasing technology. I like that there are like-minded people who are always thinking about how do I move this industry forward. So just associating ourselves to that peer group makes a ton of sense. And those are like the big reasons why we want to support CMBA and be a sponsor for this conference.
Well, we are very appreciative of it, and we look forward to the conference here just a few days away now at this point. In addition to being a great active member with us, certainly a big sponsor and promoter for our Mortgage Innovators Conference, as you pointed out, our core mission is advocacy for the industry. So as we had talked before, and I was able to reach out to you earlier this year when the Southern California fires were still uncontained, because we were addressing some legislative issues that or proposals that were designed and proposed, obviously, to help victims of the fires. And I understand, your company. I had asked you because your company was compiling data on Southern California fire victims, and that is something that the legislature was interested in. Can you share with us any insights around the data that you've compiled?
Yeah, that just thinking back to the devastation it caused, it just pains everybody's heart in terms of just the magnitude and the sheer rawness of what happened there. Several of our employees were also caught in that destruction. They've lost their homes. They had to be they had to be relocated into temporary spaces. But it was also an opportunity for us to realize how critical the data that Cotality has is in these circumstances, right? So if you think about the kind of data that's needed when you declare emergency and zones that are impacted, you tend to do it at a macro level. But I think where Cotality's data started to come to play in a very, very useful and practical manner is to take that macro level data and boil it down to individual property. And because every property is associated to a homeowner whose lives have been displaced. So, for example, we worked with many of the servicers in this area to give them a property by property view of the state of the damage by giving them individual details of the property, aerial imagery of the property at a point in time, and just help manage the whole situation in a much more empathetic way because you have to realize we say it's a property, but there's a family associated to that property. So just sort of being part of that was a humbling experience, but it also showcased the power of what data can do. I'm not going to go too much into details on that one. We do have a special session. Being in California MBA, we felt obligated that we should bring this to surface. So there is a special session that we're hosting. So I'm hoping the listeners of this video can come to the conference, watch the session, lots of insights, lots of data points, lots of stories to be told in that session.
Yeah, thank you. So that'll be at, of course, our upcoming Mortgage Innovators Conference happening May 7th and 8th in Huntington. I thank you, Praveen, for your quick response to me during that time to help our advocacy efforts. And thank you to Cotality for the volunteer work. I've seen that on your social posts that you were very committed to the victims of the Southern California fires. And just overall, thank you for being a great steward of the industry. And thank you so much for joining me on Connect today.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to be in this conversation and look forward to the conference.
Excellent. Well, we'll be sharing in the post on this video a coupon code that if you're a lender, you can use to register for the Mortgage Innovators Conference for free. And we hope to see you in May 7th and 8th in Huntington. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. To access any of our past episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.